Okay, we are back live at 7 p.m. after our executive session, which brings us to our regular agenda, which is new business item number 2, which is Ryan Jones. So to brief everybody on this topic, there was formal discipline rendered against Mr. Jones. He has specifically requested that this be discussed in an open meeting. He's waived his right to a closed session. And according to our employee handbook policy, employees do have a procedure to file grievance against any disciplinary action in writing within 5 days. Mr. Jones has done that, contesting this action. So this, the scenario, the situation, without reading this word for word, essentially is as follows. Around December 15th, Ryan and I had a meeting, as we typically do on a weekly basis, where we discussed a number of things, but one of the things that I had requested of him is a copy of the keys or a master key to the DPW facilities, very similar to the master keys that I have for this building here, to which Ryan was hesitant to do so, but begrudgingly agreed. Not having a key on him at that point, we decided to reconvene after the holidays on the 29th. I reminded Mr. Jones that I was still waiting for a copy, but due to the holidays, he informed me that he didn't have time to make copies. So on January 5th, when I reminded him yet again, the response I received was that he had changed his mind and didn't feel comfortable giving me, the president, a key to the facilities and would not be providing me a copy. This directive is lawful and within the powers of the village president as a charge to me. Specifically, under MCL 64.1, the president, as chief executive officer, explicitly states that I am in charge. I'm charged with the duties of supervising over the public property belonging to the village. So that's not just the physical property as we think of the land, but also physical property, meaning the actual keys themselves. Michigan law MCL 64.3, which is the examination and inspection of books, records, and paper additional duties of the president. That the village president may at any time examine any records and shall perform the general duties prescribed by the ordinance of the village, in this case by way of Village Ordinance 34.01, which is the Personnel Manual, Personnel Manual Section 3.20, key dispersal. And the refusal of providing keys is an act of insubordination, which is something that I take very seriously. I do not take that lightly. So within Section 6.02 of the Employee Handbook Disciplinary Actions, I informed Ryan of the violations of insubordination in village procedures. So at that time, I suspended Mr. Jones without pay for 24 hours and to not be at work for that period. So those were the sequence of events. I included in the packet for this evening, specifically Michigan law 64.1, 64.3 in its entirety for the council to review, as well as our ordinance and sections from the personnel manual. Behind that is Mr. Jones's grievance letter, his explanation of why he feels these actions are unjust. He is specifically requesting that the 1 day of pay be returned to him as though he had worked, and that these reprimands be removed from his record. Am I understanding your request correctly, Ryan? So obviously we are in open session. We can't remove the discussion from the record, but if the board is so inclined, it could be removed from the personal record. Ryan, at this time, since if you provide this in writing, and this action is specifically about you, I'll give you an opportunity if you want to.
And real quick before we
Sorry.
get into this, again, Mr. Jones has the right to close the meeting, so any point from this point forward, if you so choose, you can request us to go to closed session. You only get one bite of the apple. So what I mean is, if you close it, we go into closed session, you want it to go back to open session, you can't put it back and close. So just full disclosure.
So when Sam came to me wanting keys, it's been a year that he was in presidency. Without keys, villages ran just fine. So he came wanting keys. I have a very, very hard time just handing out keys. He wants to cite our personnel manual. Personnel manual says I'm not supposed to make any copies. Doesn't give any reasons. It just says no copies are to be made. So I'm not going to make a copy with that. My reasoning behind that is he wants to state Michigan State Law MCL 64.1, where he has the power to supervise over the publicly owned property by the village. I have sat in at least one council meeting on record where I have invited each and every member of the council for tours. I have said I will never deny access to any member of council or the public. You just have to call, because our facilities, while yes, they are owned by the public, they technically are not open to the public. Public can't just come in like they can at this building and wander around. I have not hindered the ability to supervise anything. Come on in. He has access through the gate to the grounds. At any time, call me. If I'm not available, I'll have an employee, let you in. So they're not really public areas, but what they are housing very sensitive equipment, tools, the public safety, your drinking water. I have to be licensed. People can't just go into those buildings without. So my concern is my licenses are on the wall. If something were to happen, I'm getting in trouble for that, whether it was intentional or an accident. At the end of the day, I'm in trouble. It's my licensing. It's my professional life that something could happen to that I'm not comfortable with just for a set of keys. I've never not allowed anybody into the building. I've said I'll let anybody in. So he also cites MCL 64.3 in regards to examining the books, records, and papers. There's nothing stored at the DPW. Anything that is there has copies here or is on file with Eagle. There's no employee records stored at the DPW. There's no compliance information stored at the DPW that is not easily searchable on Eagle's website. As Sam stated, we meet every week. Every Monday morning, he's at the DPW. No problem. He comes during the week sometimes. He usually calls me and says, hey, are you around? Same thing with you guys, members of the council, members of the public. If you want to come in, just call me. We have an access agreement that's on file with Eagle. So I felt that I wasn't hindering or keeping him from any records because there's nothing there. There's nothing of importance on paper there. So I do understand the spirit of insubordination. I get it. Generally speaking, though, there are going to be two things. Either one, it's against the law, or two, it's a safety issue. I feel this is a gigantic safety issue to have multiple sets of keys floating around. Right now, we have 4 fully staffed members of the DPW that all have keys to that building. Somebody needs to get in, call us. If something were to go wrong, if only 4 people have keys, it's a whole lot easier to figure out what occurred. We just paid a $32,000 fine to Eagle. I don't want to repeat that on an accident. So to me, it's a safety issue. 4 people with keys, that's all the keys we need floating around out there. If at any point, if I've ever denied access or if I said I'm not going to let somebody in, fine, I get it. I've expressed this to Sam multiple times with keys. No, wasn't going to hear it. So here we are. So I am asking that my written reprimand be removed from my file. I don't feel that it's just to be in there. I've never received an oral warning about it. It was immediate 1-day suspension. So I'm struggling with that. It's going to stay in my file forever, as long as I'm with Weberville. and that's not a good thing in my opinion. So I am asking that the grievance be removed, or the written reprimand be removed from my file.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep.
In the interest of everybody's time, keeping this professional and civil, I'd like to try to avoid any quick back and forth on this. I think we both stated the cases clearly. And there are a few points in here that I'd like to address, which the first and foremost, understanding that, yes, there are 3 other DPW employees who have keys to the facility, some of which are not licensed, as I am not. So I really don't feel like that is appropriate grounds to deny it. I mean, going right back to the top, I think Michigan state law is pretty clear in terms of my responsibilities as president. You know, it is unfortunate that in the past, you know, we have had issues where employees, not named, don't work here, that have turned facilities that are under lock and key into a private clubhouse, where there's been suspected or alleged illegal activity happening. I think it's really inappropriate that, you know, employees of this village could essentially have or know that there's free reign for them to conduct whatever business they want, because there's nobody looking over their shoulder. This is about checks and balances. I really feel like as president, I'm not able to fulfill my duties and what I'm charged with to supervise this village without complete access to it. I'm not asking to operate a vehicle which I'm not certified or qualified to operate. I have no reason to, and even if I were to do that, there's state laws that prohibit that, and I would be subject to those laws personally. As president, look, if something goes missing or something happens, I'm just as much liable. My name are on all of those things too, maybe not on a specific license, but you know, I'm the one in the hot seat here. You know, if anything, there's, you know, probably an argument for, I don't want to have access to these buildings because it brings on an extra liability. If something goes missing, well, now who has keys? Finger could be pointed at me. But this is obviously a job that carries a lot of responsibility, which I accept. So, I mean, I think this has been really clearly laid out. I've talked to MML about this issue. They've informed me that they have no particular guidance on key dispersal, that this is something that is handled at the local level. I know through discussions with Scott that Eagle has effectively said the same thing. There's no state law from a regulatory perspective which restricts access to these sites in that way. So I'm ready to hear from council on this.
Then why all the big deal about a set of keys to a building?
Well,
You
frankly,
can put that both ways.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, look at it from
let
this
me answer that
viewpoint.
real quick.
We're connected to the hip to the DDA, are we not? The village and the DDA are in essence in a roundabout.
Okay, but we're
the
not
same.
talking about the DDA.
No, it's keys in a building. Do you have keys to the Ford building? Do you have keys to any other DDA building? You are the president.
No, but I've never specifically asked for them. I'm
Well-
sure that if I did, the copies would be provided.
So I'm really not
I'm
understanding.
not convinced that the DDA, although a creature of village,
They're not.
It is a
they may be its
separate
own separate entity
entity.
for legal means. They do have their own corporate
I
counsel.
understand that, but he is the president.
I mean,
Yeah.
He's the president of the village.
I'm just saying for the DDA purposes,
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have to double check to make sure that that's a fair comparison. That's all I'm saying.
But all this dust over keys into a building, why would you need to go into the building?
I mean, to be frank, I really don't have a need, but,
Just for you to say, oh, I got keys?
no, to be frank about it, I think when a subordinate tries to restrict access to a building by their superior, that tells me everything I need to know about the trustworthiness of that employee. What are they trying to hide that they don't want me
There
to
it
see?
is.
I've never denied
there it
access.
We're not doing this back and forth.
Yep, there it is. Gotcha.
My largest concern is these are secure facilities that house all the tools for the drinking water system of this town, the wastewater system of this town, of which I'm the state recognized operator in charge. It's me for these systems. That is why I have said on more than one occasion, I will never, ever, ever deny access. Now, I know for a fact that all the communities up and down Grand River, their elected officials don't have keys to those secure facilities. I'm not saying we're another village. This is our village, but it's my licenses. I'm not hiding anything. You come in there once a week. You come in there more during hunting season. You know, there's nothing to hide, but I have a problem with my name on the wall. You wanted to say about the other employees that aren't licensed, but they are trained in certain ways that as an elected official, you're not. So that's why I'm struggling giving keys out. So like you said, I don't want to go back and forth. It's not the forum for it, so.
It's not the forum, but again, I'm not requesting for keys to a truck or a specific piece of equipment or to operate or even touch anything. I have no reason or will desire to do that. I mean, what this comes down to is it's a lock on a door. I'm pretty sure I'm an adult that knows how to lock a door behind me. And that's what I really hear the concern is a what if is I've got keys to this building. That's very sensitive employee information, social security numbers, servers, I mean, you name it. It's,
Do you have keys
Part of
to
it.
the safe downstairs?
I've never asked for them. But
How about
I'm
the
sure
lock
that if I
filing
needed
cabinet?
access, it would be granted.
Don't we have a lock filing cabinet downstairs? Do you have keys to that?
No.
I personally assumed, I guess, that the village president had access to the buildings. Now, I can also see on Ryan's behalf that a water tower or a pump station, you may not want everybody to have access to, but I would have thought that at least, because it's a water thing and somebody could go in there, dump something in the water, I get that. But at least the DPW building, I would have thought the village president had access to.
Historically, they have.
Well, historically, if they have, then why don't you now?
You know, it's something day one that I asked Ryan for that, you know, if I recall, there was, you know, similar talks and discussions and, oh, I'll get back to you. And admittedly, it's something that I kind of forgot about.
I just feel like, this is just my opinion, you are Ryan's supervisor, just as you are Jess's supervisor, and you have access to this building anytime you want. So you should be granted the same access. And that's just my opinion.
I understand it's your license. I get where you're coming from.
And the safety of this town, that I am professionally trained. I'm not gonna go back and forth.
I totally understand that.
Yep.
I respect that because I know how hard that is to work for. Been there.
Well, somehow we made
And-
copies of keys for 3 other people. So obviously copies can be made.
But it's real hard
At the
when,
end of the day, he is his supervisor. But like I said, on the other side, I can see the water tower, I can see the pump stations, I can see that. But at the end of the day, he is the supervisor.
that's where I was going. It's hard because when you have a supervisor request something of you,
You know what? The public voted him into office. They obviously trusted him enough to do this job. What is a set of keys gonna really matter? And that's where I'm at. All right, I'm ready.
recommend to the council that I recommend to the council that we affirm the village president's decision on the formal reprimand and punishment, thereby rejecting Mr. Jones' grievance on the matter. Upholding of the decision.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
McEwen,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Schulberg, yes. Walter,
No.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. That will remain in the employee's record. That brings us to the end of new business. And brings us to our second round of public comment. We will open up at 7:21. This time, are there any comments from the public?
The comment was made that it was policy for the village president to have a key to that facility. It was not policy. I was not in possession of the key out there. I see as what is going on here, in my opinion, a key is not needed by the president. He does have access. My question is, why does the president think he needs a key? What is the reason for it? The presidents in the past have not all had keys out there. There was no need for it. And in my opinion, what I see, this is an ego issue on the part of the president. I said it. That's my opinion.
Okay. Any other public comment? Seeing none, so we'll close public comment at 7:22. This time, I have no comments. I believe the questions that were brought up have already been answered. So at this time, I'll open it up for any council comment.
Careful, Mr. Schulte, you're already involved in a lawsuit. I'd hate to have to see another lawsuit that our citizens are gonna have to pay for.
Thank you. Any other comments from the council? Now, is there a motion to adjourn?
I will make motion to adjourn at 7:22 PM.
I second.
Seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Concludes this meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming.